Hi Leo, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your May 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread. And the way it works is we'll have each card representing a different house of the zodiac, starting with your sign, Leo, as the first house, all the way through to Cancer representing the 12th house. And after that, we'll actually pull an oracle card as well for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Brady Tarot. For the oracle deck, we have the Wisdom of the Oracle. And we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea where your folks should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have 9. So 9th house energy for you guys is Aries, and quite a bit going on there still. We have Saturn there. We have Neptune there. We also have Chiron that's been there for quite some time as well. We still have Mercury in there until the 2nd of May. And Mars is also still in there until the 18th of May. So plenty of energy going on there, which makes sense to see this come up. But yeah, 9th house in general points to philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs. All right, well, we have you. So it could just be saying you guys might be a bit more focused on yourselves this month, which is fine. So we'll keep that in mind as well. And we have Pluto. So Pluto is actually in your 7th house of Aquarius, which points to partnerships, contracts, and relationships. And Pluto actually will start a retrograde on the 6th of May. So it makes sense to see that come up as well. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through main spread. So yes, like we said, we saw the symbol for your sign come up with the dice. And for the first house, which represents personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have celebration. So this is actually a Cancerian energy here. But it's definitely, well, I mean, this deck does spell it out to an extent, right? As far as it being a celebratory type of energy. This could represent you spending time with friends, those you care about a lot, right? Maybe even family, siblings, so it could just be one of those things where you're just connecting with the people you care about this month. But with the celebration energy, right, could just be saying that there could be a reason for that, right? So maybe you have some kind of a victory that you'll be experiencing this month that's going to bring this energy to the forefront. But either way, I mean, let's say in the Northern Hemisphere, for example, we're rapidly approaching summer, so that tends to be a time when people are a lot more sociable as well. So it could just be as simple as that. But either way, this is definitely good energy to see because it says to me that on the one hand, you're in that energy of being in the celebratory mood, but this also says that the environment around you will meet you halfway on that. All right, so for the second house, which points generally to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Son of Horns. This is the equivalent of the Knight of Cups. So yeah, so it could just be saying when it comes to your finances, maybe you're feeling in a generous mood this month, right? Maybe you're getting gifts for the people you care about. If you do go out, right, maybe you're treating people to things along those lines there. And also this could just be saying that you could be searching for things that you have an emotional connection to this month, right? So as opposed to, let's say, just, I don't know, buying some fancy looking piece of clothing, you might be looking more forward to spending money on experiences, right? So it could just be one of those kinds of things. All right, so for the third house, which points primarily to communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have loss. So this is the Five of Horns, which is the equivalent of the Five of Cups. So yeah, so it's going to just be saying that when it comes to your communication, there could be something that you could be discussing around a disappointment, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to dominate the whole month, right? Especially given that we see the celebration energy in your first house. But yeah, what I'm getting with this is more likely it's going to be something, discussions around a past disappointment. So not to say that it would be easy for you to discuss those things, but it could just be one of those things where you feel that coming up to the surface this month and you do want to discuss it. All right, so for the fourth house, which in general points to home roots and family, we have the High Priestess. So yeah, so this could just be saying that you might be feeling really intuitive this month, right? You might, especially if you do withdraw into your home environment a little bit, right? Maybe when you do take a break from the socializing, things along those lines there, and you just withdraw into your home environments and sit alone with your thoughts, you might find some really strong intuitive insights coming your way as far as how to navigate these energies that you're dealing with this month. All right, so for the fifth house, which points to romance, creativity, and children, we have finality. So this is the Ten of Arrows, which is the equivalent of the Ten of Swords in traditional tarot. So yeah, pretty dramatic artwork here, right? As the Ten of Swords tends to also have in a lot of decks too. But seeing this in the fifth house, could just be saying that maybe your mentality is shifting around something. Now, of course, given that this does represent romance, could this represent the ending of a romantic connection? Yeah, I can't rule that out. But also, it could just be saying that maybe around something that you had in mind as far as a creative project, too, you might decide to shift gears around that, right? Because maybe you just get to a point where you feel like it's just not gaining the traction that you hoped it would, right? So it could just be one of those things where you might have really thought through, like, okay, how can I actually bring this to fruition? And now you might just finally be abandoning the idea of getting it off the ground. And again, yeah, that could also play out in a romantic sense too, right? Maybe you had a romantic connection in mind that you were hoping to get off the ground, and that could have been something that you might be giving up hope on as well. All right, so for the sixth house, which points primarily to health, work, and daily routines, we have the Daughter of Arrows. This is really the equivalent of the Page of Pentacles, so it could just be saying that you might be starting something new around that area of life as well. So for some of you, maybe you're starting a new fitness routine, for example, right? So it's like, okay, you might be enjoying it, and you might realize, okay, this is actually something I could stick with. But at the same time, you might feel like it's new enough to where you're like, all right, I really have to build muscle memory around the situation, right? For others of you, this could just be maybe around your finances and work routine as well, right? So if you started a new job recently, for example, you're like, okay, seems like it's going to be a steady source of income, right? It seems like it has good job security, but I'm still in the learning phase, right? So um, that could be what you're feeling this month in that regard. For your seventh house, which primarily points to partnerships, contracts, or relationships, we have victory. So this is really the Six of Feathers, the equivalent to the Six of Wands, which is a Leo energy actually. So interesting to see a Leo energy popping up in your opposite sign in the spread. But yeah, this could just be saying that maybe you're overcoming some issues as far as that goes, right? So on the one hand, like we said with the finality in the fifth house, right? Like we said, it could be playing out in a romantic sense for some of you, or maybe you're leaving something behind. But if that's the case, it could just be because you're finding a better situation, right? Something that will actually stand the test of time in a more long-term sense, versus if this was just more of like a strong attraction kind of thing, but didn't really have much of a foundation, right? Could just be one of those types of dynamics there. But also, seeing this here too, this could be another indicator that, yeah, might be that this wasn't related to romance. It was just more of like a creative project kind of thing that you're ditching. But when it comes to your relationships, things might actually be pretty strong this month. And this could just be saying that, maybe it could have been one of those things too, where the person that you might be seeing could have been popular in some way too, to where you feel like, okay, maybe you had to, overcome some competition in that regard to gain their attention. But if that's the case, it looks like that would be successful as well. So for the eighth house, we have the Star. So this is actually an Aquarius energy here, the major arcana card for Aquarius, and eighth house in general pointing to death, rebirth, intimacy, investments, right? Could just be saying that, yeah, for some of you, maybe you did go through a bumpy ride in that area of life recently, but now if that's the case, it looks like this is the course correction. If we just think about the major arcana and tarot in general, the Star comes after the Tower, right? So that's a big part of the reason why I usually view the Star energy as coming out on the other side of difficulty, so it's that course correction that maybe isn't comfortable, but was probably needed as well, and now you're on the right path. All right, so for your ninth house, which we also saw represented with the dice, we have Mother of Feathers. So this is a perfect natural fit here because this actually is the equivalent of the Queen of Wands, which is Aries energy. And I basically did mention when we were first talking about the dice and we had the ninth house, all the energies that were going through Aries, right? Some of it's still there, some recently left, but yeah, this is definitely, to me, saying that you're pretty strong and firm on your beliefs, right? So maybe you've been reviewing those things recently, especially seeing the High Priestess and the fourth house. Um, Things along those lines there. Like I said, with the Son of Horns, maybe wanting more of an emotional connection around the things you're doing. But seeing this here, to me, says that ultimately, you're pretty solid on what you believe in, and some of these situations you've been going through might have reaffirmed that. All right, so for the 10th house, which points primarily to career and social status, we have Judgment. So seeing this come up here, could just be saying that, yeah, maybe an opportunity that you might have tried to get off the ground in the past, but might have come up short for whatever reason. Could just be saying that it could be coming back around for you guys. Now I'm trying to think of, well, yeah, I mean, for you guys, Taurus is your 10th house of career and social status, and we had Uranus there for a very extended stay. It's actually moving back into Gemini at the time of recording this. So that's one thing there. Well, yeah, and then you still have some supportive energies. Obviously, the sun is currently in Taurus. We'll have the new moon in Taurus, and those are 10th house energy for you guys. So could just be saying that, yeah, maybe with Uranus moving through that sign for so long, it might have brought opportunities in, but then they might have been snatched away just as quickly. And now, with that energy settling and getting out of there, could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you do have another opportunity around that area of life. All right. And for your 11th house, which primarily points to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have work. So this is a Capricorn energy here. And seeing this here could just be saying that, yeah, for some of you, maybe you're going to actually feel like you have a friendship group within your work environment, right? For others of you, you could actually be figuring out a way to work with friends. And maybe that's what the celebration energy we see is about, right? Maybe figure out some kind of way to make that happen. But either way, I feel like this is saying that the people in your environment you're actually able to build with, right? So even if it isn't directly related to work, we don't always have to take the wording of the cards on face value. It could just be saying that, hey, it could be building some strong, stable friendships this month. And for your 12th house, which points to mental health, blind spots, spirituality, we have Armistice. So, yeah, seeing this here, could just be saying that, yeah, especially if you've been hard on yourselves in some way, this could finally be you trying to release that energy, right? And just embrace where you are a little bit more, letting go of past regrets, right? Like we talked about with the loss energy. So maybe it's as simple as that, right? Maybe you talk to that person that might have been involved in the situation directly, or just talk to maybe people you trust about the situation. And that finally helps you make a little bit more peace around the situation in the process. All right, so for the bottom of the deck, we have Truth. So this is basically the equivalent of the Ace of Swords. It's the Ace of Arrows here. But yeah, so this be saying that maybe you do have some epiphanies that come your way this month. Now, I'm trying to think of astrologically what could point to that. And, it does make me think of the fact that at the very end of the month, we're going to have that full moon in Sagittarius, which is your 5th house. So that could be one of those things that might bring it about. But I mean, other than that, you still have Jupiter in your 12th house, so that could be enriching your inner worlds to where you might have those types of epiphanies that come to you and actually help you maybe put some missing pieces of a puzzle together and help give you peace around that. But we'll see what the Oracle card has in the mix. So I'm actually just going to give this a few shuffles, then I'll cut the deck and we'll pull a card. Okay, we'll take this card here. Let me get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we have regeneration. There's the artwork, and the number is 46. So at a minimum, this makes me think of the judgment energy that we saw with the 10th house, but we'll see what it says in the book. And another thing it makes you think of is, the dramatic energy of the finality card we see in the 5th house too. And the star card, like I said, that to me the star card usually represents coming out on the other side of difficulty. This looks like a good indicator of that as well, but we'll see what it says. All right. Central Meanings says rebirth, second chances, new opportunities. The Oracle's message: second chances are available to you now. Whatever opportunities you thought were dead are now revived in a more authentic, stronger form. Whatever you may have perceived as a failure or loss is now being replaced by something better and more powerful growing in its place. This rebirth is assured. Step into your new life. Destiny is being fulfilled in wondrous ways. So there's plenty of cards to me that connect with that message there, like Loss, for example, in the 3rd house, seeing the Celebration in the 1st, High Priestess in the 4th. Plenty of things we could point to there, but seems to fit with the spread overall. The relationship message says the world is based on connections and relationships. No matter what loss has occurred in the past or even now, death and endings are only illusions. There is life after death, love after loss, and in this moment, you are radiating the regenerative life force energy that makes you irresistible to love in all forms. Now is the time when you will see evidence of this new emergence. Can you feel it? Love is rising up to greet you. So that message definitely seems to align with the victory energy we see in the 7th house as well. So hopefully that resonated. And the prosperity message says, what happens when it appears you failed at something? Do you see the beauty in the lesson? The understanding that arises from difficulties is like a seed that lies dormant for a time. Then, once it germinates in your subconscious, it pushes through into your awareness. It is becoming apparent that there is a new you, a new start, a more powerful version and form of what you began to plant in the garden of your imagination has surfaced. You are ripe for success. New opportunities, much better than those that came before, appear like gifts from the gods. Now is one of those times when out of seeming loss and failure comes remarkable abundance. Do not dwell on the past, because you really are experiencing a rebirth. So that seems to point to loss in the 3rd house that we talked about, finale in the 5th house, and then judgment in the 10th house as well. So overall, like I said, these messages seem to align pretty well with the main spread, and hopefully that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. Bye.